Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? So Saints were on the practice field on Thursday. Afterwards, of course, there was no Kendre Miller, and then there were a couple of new faces in the running back room today. And Dennis Allen, after practice, was asked about Kendre Miller.
He's got a hamstring. See next week. Injury reports are coming out real soon.
He's got a hamstring. Injury reports are coming out real soon. We'll see next week. So, Kendre Miller, third-round pick out of TCU, a guy that the Saints are certainly counting on, not only long-term, but in the immediate short-term, because you don't have Alvin Kamara for the first 3 weeks. So we were looking at it going, okay, AK's out for 3 weeks, so it's Jamaal Williams, Kendre Miller, and maybe it's Kirk Merritt. Ellis Merriweather was on the practice squad. We'll see how that goes, right? But you got those first two. Well, now Kendre Miller's got the hamstring injury. Alvin Kamara, by the way, with his suspension, is not allowed to practice. He is not with the team right now. So it is Jamaal Williams and what? That is a really big concern. Remember, they cut Darrell Williams. They initially cut Ellis Merriweather, then signed him to the practice squad. But with this news now about Kendre Miller and his hamstring, the Saints have had to make some changes. And we always say it. It's not the final 53, it's the first 53, because inevitably there are always changes. Dudes who make the team on Tuesday aren't on the team by Thursday. It's just the way that it always goes. And today at practice, the New Orleans Saints did have two new running backs on the field. One of them a familiar face and one of them brand new. Tony Jones Jr. was back with the New Orleans Saints, as was rookie Jordan Mims. Here was DA on the two new running backs.
Well, look, Tony's a guy that's been in the system. He really has been in the same basic install meetings all throughout training camp. So there's a familiarity in what we're doing offensively. So that was what was intriguing about him. And Mims is a guy that we watched on tape and felt like he had some, a little bit of, change of pace back, some quickness, change of direction, as well as his ability out of the backfield.
Okay, let me unpack this just a little bit, okay? So just to kind of clear the deck again, all right, Alvin Kamara's gone. Kendre Miller's hurt right now. We don't know what his status is going to be for week one. Injury report next week, we'll see. In the meantime, you've got Jamaal Williams, Kirk Merritt, who they've moved to running back now, and they've waived Ellis Merriweather, who had made the practice squad. They waived him today, and they've brought in Tony Jones Jr. and Jordan Mims. Mims is an undrafted rookie free agent out of Fresno who had been with the Broncos. They cut him, and now the Saints have brought him in. So let's start with Tony Jones Jr. You remember Tony Jones was undrafted out of Notre Dame in 2020, and the Saints brought him in. And he spent 2020, 2021, and last year with the New Orleans Saints. They didn't bring him back, and he was in camp this year with the Denver Broncos. Remember that preseason in 2021? That's where we all looked at Tony Jones and went, maybe Tony Jones. That game against Baltimore, he had that electric 18-yard touchdown run where he dove for the pylon. In that game, he had 3 carries for 63 yards and a touchdown. And we're all like, Tony Jones. Remember, this is when Baltimore still hadn't lost a preseason game in like 6 years. So we looked at Tony Jones and went, they got it. They got the next of the long line of undrafted rookie free agent running backs that are going to make an impact. The Pierre Thomas and the Chris Ivory and the Travaris Cadet. They got the next one. It's Tony Jones. Well, Tony Jones' time in New Orleans didn't exactly play out that way. He played in one game as a rookie in the COVID year. He had 3 carries that season. In that 2021 year that we talked about, he ended up playing in 11 games for the Saints that season. Kamara had battled injury that year, and so they brought him in. They had Latavius Murray then as well.
Murray, present.
And we saw him carry the ball 54 times for 142 yards, a long of 11. It just wasn't great. It wasn't what we had seen in the preseason. Then last year, he played in 2 games, had 2 carries for 8 yards. And you remember the way that it went last year for New Orleans because of so much of the turnover and the injuries. Mark Ingram got hurt. They brought back Latavius Murray. And then
Murray, present.
Ultimately, Denver signed Latavius Murray off the Saints practice squad.
Present.
And then at the end of the season, they brought in, who were the veterans? Benjamin, David Johnson. It was a revolving door at running back for the Saints. And Tony Jones was a part of that, but it didn't really stick. So to Dennis Allen's point, the appeal of Tony Jones right now is he spent 3 years in New Orleans, and this training camp he was in Denver with Sean Payton, who brought him to New Orleans. So same offense, same system, a lot of the same terminology, same concepts. So it's like he never left. It was a very easy transition to bring him back, kind of like last year when you brought back Latavius Murray.
Murray, present.
Very easy transition. So I get bringing Tony Jones back. And then you're kind of betting on the come with Jordan Mims. Because you heard the way that Dennis Allen described Jordan Mims. It's a rookie out of Fresno who, again, spent training camp with the Denver Broncos. I'm sorry, he was with the Bills. Forgive me. And so this is a guy who kind of mirrors what the Saints are looking to do at running back. He played a lot of football at Fresno. He took advantage of a COVID year, played a 5th season at Fresno, and over the course of his career had 680 rushing attempts. For context, Kendre Miller in 3 years at Fresno had a total of 300 rushing attempts. Jordan Mims had 680 rushing attempts over his 5 years at Fresno. But he also caught the ball. His receptions by year, 14, 21, 10, 25, 21, they threw him the ball. So that's a guy who can scoot, he can make you miss, you can catch the ball out of the backfield. So he fits the mold of what the Saints like in their running backs. So I understand why they added those 2 guys. Now, the best case scenario is Kendre Miller's healthy and ready for week 1, and you've got Jamaal Williams, Kendre Miller, and then whoever number 3 is. Maybe it's Tony Jones, maybe it's Jordan Mims, maybe it's Ellis Merriweather, maybe it's Kirk Merritt. Don't know. But the best case scenario is your top 2 guys week 1 against Tennessee are Jamaal Williams, Kendre Miller. But y'all, I don't know if you've given this a ton of thought yet as we look ahead to week 1 for New Orleans against Tennessee. Do you remember anything about Tennessee's rush defense a year ago? I'm going to jog your memory a little bit. Do you remember where Tennessee's rush defense ranked in the NFL last year, just offhand? Do you remember if they were good or not?
I don't recall them being great.
Paulie, do you remember Tennessee's rush defense, if they were good or not last year?
I do not know.
Yeah, they were number 1 in the NFL, 76 yards per game. Jeffrey Simmons right in the middle, pretty good. Remember him from Mississippi State? Pretty good dude. Yeah, them, good. You're going to face the team that was the best rush defense in the NFL last year without Alvin Kamara and maybe without Kendre Miller. And an offensive line that we're not sure is really that good. So let's just put a little star next to that one. Let's get Kendre Miller some stem cells. Let's get him some PRP. Let's get him some cupping, some scraping, whatever you got to do. Call my girl Crystal Poche over at Restored Motions. Get Kendre Miller on that table. Let's get him right. Because you got a big challenge against that defensive front from Tennessee week 1. And I'd really like to see Kendre Miller. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.